Hello and welcome back to Webinar Wednesday, powered by Marketing 360. My name is Seth Burney, and I am joined by none other than the man in the green shirt, Brandon Lilly. How you doing today, bud?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much. So today we are going to be talking about how to get better customer reviews and increase user-generated content. Now, if you are following this presentation along and listening to us, well, go ahead and go to this link, m360.us/E3020, and you will be able to follow this presentation along with us. So please jump over to there. Brandon, we're going to get right into this thing. We have 9 tips that we're going to be covering on how to get better reviews and to gain user-generated content. Not going to jump through this list, but again, it's there for you. Let's get going.
Sounds great.
Number 1, Brandon, make user-generated content easy. So when we're talking about getting more reviews and getting more information from our clients to talk about our business, you need to make it as simple as possible, right? Don't make too many hoops to jump through for these clients, because the more forms they have to go through or things they need to submit or login attempts, it's just one more opportunity for them to not write the review, right? So keep it easy, keep it simple, and then also make sure that you're giving your consumers multiple ways to write reviews, as well as you asking them for these reviews. So couple is, email is a popular one. Messenger chatbots right now, that's kind of a big thing, especially through Facebook. Really just talking to them and asking them one-on-one if they would write a review, if they had a great conversation or a great experience with one of your employees. And then also as simple as putting a flyer on the table, right? The only other thing, Brandon, that I have to add is make sure it's mobile friendly. In today's day and age, that is where most of your clients are going to be leaving their reviews. So make sure anything you send them, anything you ask for them to do to write that review, it needs to be mobile friendly and easy for them to do.
Now let's talk about just reviews in general here really quickly. I can use myself as an example of this. I hate leaving reviews. I don't like to leave them, but I love using them. And honestly, that's how most users are going to be. They are the person or the individual that loves to read the reviews, and they'll go through pages of them. They'll check different websites. They'll look at Facebook. If you're selling a product, they'll look at Amazon. They're going to look on your website. People use reviews to make these decisions, but it's very difficult to get people to actually leave them unless one of two things happens. Either they're very angry or they are just over the moon, very excited. So you need to make it, like you had said, you need to make it incredibly easy for these individuals to leave a review so you get that middle ground. That's the bulk, right? If 10% are angry and 10% are super happy, you're still missing out on 80% of your possible reviews just because you haven't made it really easy. One of the easiest ways is to actually ask for it. That's something that a lot of business owners will miss. A lot of retailers, they kind of miss on that. You have to ask for the review first and then make it easy for them to do so.
We have on that slide there at the top, generally people who want to write reviews, it's just a spark, right? It's an overwhelming feeling of, hey, this is awesome and I need to tell more people about it. But there's also that other majority that they are disgruntled, right? And they get that passion. They feel like they need to get it out there. But if you can beat them to the punch and actually interact, if you are face-to-face as you're explaining their brand, and just asking them, hey, how is your day going? How is your service going? And if it's bad, you now have an opportunity for not waiting for that person to write a bad review, but you can capture them and be proactive about it and hopefully turn that into a good experience. So
yeah, you can fix it before it becomes a problem.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree.
And that's how it starts. If you ask, then if there is a situation or an issue that needs to be fixed, you have the opportunity to do it before it becomes something where you might lose business simply because of a misunderstanding. You might lose sales simply because somebody needed something different explained to them or needed to have a different experience that since you've asked, now you're able to craft that for them. So that's the very first thing I would always recommend. Ask for reviews.
Perfect. As easy as that. Jumping right along, let's talk about, a couple of reasons of why do we want to get these reviews and why is it important? One way to get these reviews, I guess, is to incentivize your customers, right? And the reason that this is beneficial to you, a lot of small business owners say, well, why do I need to discount my product, right? They're already a client. They already hopefully had a good experience and they're going to write a good review, but why do I need to incentivize them? Well, here you can actually see this is real information from one of our partner companies called Yotpo. And they say, while returning customers, and this is for online customers, only make up for about 15% of online purchases, the returning customers account for a third of the revenue and actually spend 3 times more than one-time shoppers, right? So if you're going to incentivize these consumers, you definitely have a better opportunity of get them to repeat purchase and spend more money with you in the long term. So a couple ways that you can incentivize your customers is coupons, of course, discount codes, but a new kind of trend right now that is especially happening through social platforms is doing photo tests, and branded hashtags. You can also do drawings for gift cards, etc. So keep that in mind. And I think that it's important too that when you're going to be following up with these consumers and asking for these reviews, try to personalize it a little bit, right? Based on what did they purchase and what incentive are you going to be giving them in the future. But then also just a quick tip here, when you send out either the text message or the email, make sure that you're putting in the keywords that are going to get them to take action, like coupon, win, free, save, sale, discount, right? All of those are great buzzwords. And Yapo, again, has said that if you use those words, it actually increases the conversion rate from a shopper to an actual review by 18.5%. So that's huge, right? I'd love to get your opinion, Brandon, on, the incentivizing these consumers, right, to write reviews or even post on social platforms.
Fine line, because you need to balance between offering your customers a reason or incentive to leave you a review, kind of, give them the carrot, without buying reviews. That's the difference. So you have to be really careful with that. Now, this is a fantastic way to generate return business, return customers, and as a part of that transaction then becomes an opportunity to leave a review. So being very careful with not like coming across as if you're buying the review. So a lot of these things that you want to do, you can't make it a contingent upon leaving a review. Leave a review and get 10% off. That could be construed as buying a review, and many platforms aren't going to really appreciate that, right? Mm-hmm. Facebook doesn't like it. Google, Amazon is another one. Now, if Amazon uses this all the time, you give away a product for free. Here's a product, we'd love your honest opinion. We'd love your honest feedback. Now, as long as you're not filtering that or something in that situation, and they're saying, I received this product for free, that's great. And it can be a really valuable review, especially if you can read through there and they're like, I loved all this about it. This I think could be better, but this, the rest of it made up for it. That's a really honest review, and you can trust that. Yeah. But incentivizing people to essentially jump back into this sales funnel is a great way to turn that into a repeat customer, which is incredibly valuable. And we talked on another webinar about how much it costs so much more to generate a new customer than it does to keep an old customer. So you keep these people coming back, you bring them back, you give them an opportunity, a discount, free shipping, 15% off. You offer a branded hashtag campaign. Take a picture with the last shirt that you bought. You bought a Marketing 360 shirt. Take a picture, hashtag it, Marketing 360 selfie. And we're randomly going to choose someone to get, and we're going to send you the next T-shirt for free. Yep. Things like that. Great brand awareness. Great way to get people involved in your product and your service again. And as a part of that, turn that funnel into a review capture system, so that they're given the chance to leave a review very easily without feeling like you're trying to buy it from them. Yeah.
Absolutely. And one point to that, if you're going to do these hashtag campaigns, really a big reason why is this user-generated content has 4.5% higher conversion rates, right? And we're talking specifically on a product side. So if you're selling products through, let's say, Instagram, and you can utilize real customer information, whether it's their photos or the review itself, and post that through your brand, you have a much better chance of converting that. So Brandon, let's kind of turn it a little bit.
Before you continue, it doesn't have to, something like that on Instagram or a hashtag base, it doesn't actually have to just be a product. You could be a landscaper. And you could, it could be close to the end of the season. So you have everybody take a picture of all the landscaping projects that you've done over that period of time. Hashtag it, Bob's Landscaping. And then you go through, you promote all the pictures. They're all beautiful. You've done a great job. It's great user-generated content. And then you go through, you can even have users vote on the picture that they like the most or the landscaping that you did the most. And that person wins free winterization for their sprinkler system. Great opportunity to drive people back. That customer is going to be a customer for life. And all it cost you was getting people to send in some pictures and then the cost of winterizing their sprinkler systems. Anything like that. It doesn't have to be product-based. It can be any way to generate some user-generated content, and it's incredibly valuable across all channels.
Perfect. Great information there. And we're going to talk and switch it a little bit now, Brandon, and talk about how do we actually get these reviews, right? One thing that is important is timing is everything, right? Most of the time is what we put on there. So when you're going to be sending out email requests for people to get reviews, we've actually found that there's different days and different times of day that you want to send it out. So for instance, if you're requesting reviews through email for health and beauty, you want to look at about Monday at 6 p.m. at night. If you are on the food and beverage side, Sunday at 1 p.m. So it's definitely something that, and we'll talk about it later on, that you want to look at the analytics and base it 100% off of what is happening with you and your emails. But I think these are good guidelines, at least to start a campaign with and then test the waters, right? What are your thoughts on that, Brandon?
Let's just say this. I love how you said timing is everything most of the time. Yeah, that's great. Because it's better to do it at the wrong time all of the time than it is to do it at the right time none of the time. So I would rather, for you as a business owner, you want to grow your revenue, you want to bring more customers back in, you want to generate new customers, at least try it. It doesn't matter if it's the right time, technically, you'll get there. And your business and your industry will be different than the guy down the street. These are great guidelines, but if you sit back and you wait and you're like, well, I don't know what time to do it, so I'm not going to do it yet, just do it. Just send out some emails, try to get some reviews, and you can optimize your process from there. Otherwise, you are never going to send out the email, or you're never going to ask the customer because it's never the right time.
Under-reviewed, right? You need to make sure across the board you have reviews in place. So lots of people, lots of consumers search different platforms, whether it is Google, right? They're looking at Google My Business, or they're on Facebook or on Instagram. Some people search directly through Snapchat nowadays. And then you have other platforms like Yelp and Top Rated Local, right? You need to make sure that you have a good distribution of reviews across all platforms. So when you're sending out these emails, kind of keep in mind, okay, which platforms do I want to send this group of people to get these boosted reviews, right? How do I get this up higher? That is also going to help you out organically. And that's probably a whole nother conversation, Brandon. But, I think that, for instance, to give you an idea of doing that is good for the platform, but you also want to think on a product side and a service side, right? So let's just take an example real quick, and let's say it's a beauty salon, right? You're the owner of a beauty salon, and you're getting some great reviews, people posting on Google My Business and Top Rated Local and Yelp, but they're only posting about your brand, right? Or, for instance, maybe they're only posting about Sally, who is extremely good at doing hair highlights. That's great for Sally, and that's great for hair highlights, right? But you have all these other services that you offer, and you need to make sure as a business owner, you can show these different services through your reviews. So if Sally's doing great, maybe you need to look over at Susie, who is the esthetician, right? And try and get her to get more positive reviews from her clients, and that's just going to help show that you are a full beauty salon, right? So that's kind of an example on that specific part. You can also look at it's a beauty salon e-commerce, right? So you have a lot of popular products. It has maybe 100 reviews on one specific product, but you flip over to a recommended product and there's only 2 reviews on it, right? You need to make sure that you're pushing out review opportunities for all your services and all of your products within your platform. So sorry to bog you down, but Brandon, I'd love to get your opinion on that as well.
Consider there. First one would be, and we didn't even talk about this earlier, incentivize your employees to get reviews. Incentivize the employee to ask for it. It can't always be you. And this is a trap that small business owners and myself and Seth, probably you as well, we fall into this all the time. We try to do it all on our own. And you can't do that. It can't, you own the business. It can't be your job at a place that you own. That's the big difference between being the business owner and the guy who works at the same place he happens to own, or the girl who works the same place she happens to own. So incentivize your employees, give them challenges, give them gift cards, call them out, and say, hey, you did an amazing job getting all these reviews. Thank you so much. That's a huge benefit to you as a company. And honestly, it's fairly low cost. You also know that, generally speaking, a lot of your employees are going to be much more customer facing and on the front lines than you are. So it's also a great way to get some real-time feedback as to what the customer is actually experiencing on the front line with your customer service or your service technicians or your stylists or anything like that. On that note as well, you had mentioned, you've got a product that's got a ton of reviews on it and a product that's recommended that's only got 2 reviews. This might be a great opportunity to actually review that product. Maybe it doesn't, this is a chance to go, well, it doesn't sell very well. We love it, but it doesn't sell well. So you can address that in your marketing. Just even as a part of that can help to generate more reviews and generate more action. Or it's not getting reviews because really it's just not a great product. So that gives you a chance to remove it from your product line and to increase your profit per square foot if you're a retail location, or increase your average transaction value if you're selling online. Same for your services. If you've got services that aren't getting good reviews or aren't getting them at all, great opportunity to review them and find if there's a way to increase your own value by making a change or making a tweak to your offerings. So, but there's so many different things that can go into this. It's not just about reviews, right? This encompasses the entire business model to an extent. There's so many different things that just getting great reviews, it's not only going to increase, your customers or your customer trust or customer transactions or returning customers. It's also going to help to increase your overall bottom line of sales by helping you to understand when there's weak points in your business that you can address and then fix, or if there's products that honestly you just don't need to sell or don't need to offer, and you can bring in something better and increase your value that way.
The one thing about incentivizing your own employees, I was actually at a conference talking to an appliance repair company owner, and he was giving away a new Samsung, I think it was a 65-inch curved TV, right? Huge TV. But he was giving it away to his employees, the employee that got the most reviews in the first quarter of their business. So that's a great idea there, Brandon. I didn't even think about that. So thanks for bringing that up as well.
Perfect.
Let's jump over to the next slide. We're going to be talking about utilizing photos, right? Photos make better user-generated content. And again, we're using a lot of Yapo information, and thank you very much, Yapo, for this. But a case study done by Yapo is 77% of shoppers prefer customer photos over product or professional ones, right? This really just goes back to people want to see people like themselves using your product or using your service, right? That's really what they want to do. They want to connect with you and your brand. They want to see who you do business with and if it's a company that they're going to want to do business with as well. So in trying to find ways to get better user-generated content, also make sure that you're asking for photos, right? Shopping experiences are changing. A lot of people are finding new opportunities to purchase products and services through Pinterest, right? And that is an image-first platform. It looks good. It looks professional. That is a great platform to try this out on. So when you're asking for reviews from your customers, also ask as well for them to submit a photo with it, right? Please submit a photo of the box and the packaging of your latest shoe purchase, right? Or whatever it is, ask them to submit that photo, and then ask if you can use that photo and review throughout your advertisement campaigns, as well as your SEO campaigns. So that's just a couple ideas from my perspective. Brandon, I'd love to get your thoughts on that as well.
And anything like that, like you had suggested in your own marketing campaigns, or just even as a part of your sales collateral, something like that, user-generated reviews, actual customer pictures, things like that. Amazon has done this really well for a long time. And I'm a Prime member. I love using Amazon to buy things. Amazon, if you're listening, just let me know. But when you go down and you look at the reviews, there's an opportunity to look at pictures too. So I've always been the kind of guy, like I'm a little afraid to buy like clothing, let's say, off of Amazon. The colors almost always aren't exactly what you thought they were, right? The pictures don't really do them justice. So the user-generated pictures that people attach to their reviews are the decision maker for me. When I can look at it and go, that's the exact color of what I was thinking. That's exactly what I was looking for. And now I know, because I see it live, essentially, in this, both a good review and a picture, I'm sold. So that's a great way to now I'm a converting customer and I'm buying off of Amazon, anything like that. You can do that on your own website as well. You can do that with Pinterest. You can do that with Instagram. Instagram is rolling out their e-commerce platform, as it were, so that you can attach sponsorships essentially to your photos and things like that. If you're using user-generated photos, a live imagery here, great value. As soon as they continue to roll that out and it's an option for everybody, Pinterest, Instagram, Amazon. And one thing that we haven't talked about, one of the most popular growing channels or growing segments on YouTube are unboxing videos. And we haven't even discussed that. So we can take images and go, why don't we just encourage our customers to unbox these things? When you get the package, take a video, upload it to Instagram, hashtag, upload it to YouTube, talk to us about it, share it with us, things like that. People opening up the package, pulling out the clothes or pulling out what they just bought. This is so cool. It came in great packaging, easy to open, looks great. All of that is just incredibly valuable. So you can take this as far as you want. It doesn't just have to be pictures. It can go all the way to video. And then you've got some great video collateral. You can start creating user videos. You can start creating product videos, service videos, anything like that. The sky's the limit, in all honesty. It's just asking and engaging.
Great thought there, especially, utilizing UGC in different lights like the video. If anybody has any questions about all these thoughts that are going through our heads, we're here at Marketing 360. We'd love to help you out. But we're going to continue along with this conversation and talk about the analyzing and optimizing of these campaigns, right? So there's tons of data points that you can look at and you can just go through. But there's a couple that we really believe you want to focus on, right? You're sending out these emails. So you want to see how many were actually delivered, right? What are the opening rates and what are the opt-out rates? There are going to be some people who just decide, you know what? I no longer want to see these emails. Those are going to be important to remember. Hey, did I get a very high opt-out rate when sending out this email? Maybe I need to change up the messaging next time, right? Or maybe I need to utilize some different content in the emails I'm sending out. So keep those two in mind, the open rates and the opt-out rates. But then also going back to that, finding the return on investment. Okay, so find the repeat purchases, track that total ROI, and then also utilize the shopper analytics who are interacting with the user-generated content, right? So if you create a brand campaign or if you create a product campaign through Facebook and you have all these people tracking through the metrics, make sure you see what are the conversion rates on that marketing advertisement based on your others, right? Knowing that you utilize customer user-generated content. And then also the conversion rates among the shoppers who do interact with that as well. So those are a couple that we believe are important. Brandon, I would also love to get your opinion if you have any additional metrics that you should analyze and optimize as you create these campaigns.
I've got a couple of thoughts here. One, if you're not tracking a metric, you can't improve that metric. So that's incredibly important. If you're not tracking it, you can't make it better. That being said, you kind of want to think about it like this. The cost of doing nothing is greater than the risk of trying something. So yes, optimizing and data points and analyzing and all of that is incredibly important. But if you're too afraid to try because you might not get a great result, then you're never going to even get the chance to analyze or optimize or get better anyway. So take that first step. That's the most important part. And that, in my mind, is one of the biggest takeaways that you can take from this video. Take the first step. If you find moving forward that this is something that you believe you can see success in, but you don't have the time to manage it or don't want to or don't have the knowledge, anything like that, let us know. We're happy to help with this. We would love to help with this. But if you try this and you find that there are data points and you actually really like getting into the data, then go to town. Like this is the truth of the world that we live in, is you can analyze everything. There is a data point for anything. So absolutely, when you're talking about email, your delivery rates, your open rates, your opt-out, such as people marking you as spam or people unsubscribing, that's incredibly important to look at. You want to keep the opt-out and the spam as low as possible, but it is a good metric to understand if you're providing value. At the end of the day, if you're marketing effectively, marketing well, that should be one of your biggest goals. Am I providing value? Is my content valuable? Are my emails valuable? Is my product and my service valuable? And these are all ways that you can kind of analyze that through people's response to you reaching out to them. If you ask people for reviews and all you're getting is negativity, you look back at yourself, right? You have to look back at the service, the product, the customer experience, the interaction, and what can you do to adjust that? No one is in business to bring someone else down or to steal from them or to give them a bad experience. No good business owner wants to do that. Sometimes it's hard to look at what we need to do to grow, and reviews are a great way to accomplish that, and then analyzing that. Like you said, the repeat purchases, the ROI, what products are selling better than other products. This product I got a great ROI on. When people buy it, they love it, but I'm not getting enough sales on it. Get more reviews on that product. You'll sell more. Your ROI goes up. So this is just a web of an ecosystem of different pieces that can all be analyzed and optimized just to grow everything. Yeah. If anybody wants to have a conversation about this, you let me know. I'll talk your ear off for an hour. When you get into the data points like this, there's just so many fascinating trends that you can find and adapt to. So all these things you've got written down here, all of it ties in together to growing your business. But a huge part of it is taking that first step, asking for reviews and user-generated content, and then using it effectively across all the different channels that you can.
Yeah, absolutely. And, talking about that first step, right? That's kind of what we're going to cover in the next slide here, is making sure when you're taking that first step, you're going to choose a tech stack that gives you the control, right? So you mentioned it and you said, people are possibly getting bad reviews, or maybe just something is not right about your product or your brand. Well, there are platforms out there that can kind of help you, right? There's a couple out there that seem to hurt small businesses. They just don't like using them because people can just go and write slanderous reviews. Well, we have one, Top Rated Local. You should check it out. It's a free review platform. You can see there at the bottom, topratedlocal.com. Sign up for free. But the nice thing about that platform is they are verified reviews. People can't just log in and decide, hey, I'm going to write a bad review about this company because either A, I heard about them and I just don't like what they're doing, or B, I was going to use them, but I didn't, and I still want to write a bad review, right? That's definitely happened. So Top Rated Local, take a look at that, as well as Yotpo. We've said them a couple times, but Yotpo is a great product review platform to help create that user-generated content, and it's going to be geared towards e-commerce-based companies. So check Yotpo out, check out Top Rated Local. But again, the reason you need to take these steps and why you need to get reviews on your site, 87% of shoppers won't even consider buying from a site without reviews. It has no credibility. It doesn't show that you've been around, right? You're just not earning trust. And right now, people are going to judge your business off of what they see through your website and on your social platforms. So you have to get those reviews up there. You need to generate these and try to utilize your own customer testimonials and images within your website as much as possible. That just helps build that trust, get that brand messaging out there of who you're working with and who you'd like to work with in the future, right, Brandon?
Bell curve to customers, right? Most people the early adopters, the people that are fine with risk, they'll buy from a website that doesn't have reviews, as long as they feel that the site or the business is trustworthy. And that's a whole other conversation to have. But you can't live off of the 10%. So you have to adjust, and now you want to get this other 80%, you know? So I can go online and I can buy widget number 1 from this guy, or I can buy widget number 1 from you. At the end of the day, for a lot of people, there's not that brand loyalty that there used to be, especially if it's more of a commodity style product. If I can buy it from you, I can buy it from this guy, I can buy it from that guy. But all things considered, I'm probably going to be buying from the website that has a lot of great reviews. It's a huge difference maker. You're exactly right. And I appreciate that we found this data from Yotpo. 87% of people don't buy from websites without reviews. Of course they don't. Why would they? They can go to the other website with reviews. Yeah, they can work with the other business. This is the world that we live in, right? Very rarely are you ever the only business doing something, or very rarely are you the only service provider in that area. And if you are, then you need to be dominating the market.
Yep. But
you're still going to generate more competition that way, right? So Top Rated Local is a great way to start to generate and develop some reviews that way. You can, it's a free platform. I think there are some upgrade potentials where you can use some badging on your site, things like that. But it's also an aggregate. And I love this because the aggregate system pulls in your reviews from other review platforms. So by utilizing this, it pulls your reviews from Facebook. It will pull them from Google, from different platforms like that, and kind of show where you rank up. And that's incredibly valuable. But if I had my choice, I would say that some of the top review platforms that you need to be on are related to your marketing platforms as well. So you've got Top Rated Local, you've got Google because you're probably running ads, or you want to be in the maps listings, or things like that. You've got Facebook, obviously. If you're selling on Amazon, you got to have reviews there. If you're an e-commerce site, Yotpo is incredibly valuable for that because it kind of helps to alleviate the stress and the difficulty of generating reviews on that platform as well. So, absolutely, if you're following along in this slide, topratedlocal.com, sign up for a profile there and just get started.
Yeah, absolutely. User-generated content now for about half an hour, right? So thank you very much for sticking with us. Again, at the very top, we showed you the presentation. You can follow along with us. But this next slide that we want to get into is we really want to talk about letting that user-generated content shine, right? There's a couple brands out there, and they are e-commerce brands, but they do a lot of great social branding, and they use their user-generated content to really promote through other channels, right, outside of their e-commerce platform. So a couple, they're using a website actually called 460. It's an e-commerce kind of widget you add on, and then you can pull in your Instagram pictures that your own customers have posted with your brand, and they highlight those on the website. So I would say, check out these brands. Movement is Watch Company, Gymshark, and then Pure Vita bracelets. I think those are 3 really great websites you just go to and say, okay, with this user-generated content that Seth and Brandon have been talking about, how do I visualize it and how do I see it in action, right? But these 3 are doing a great job with it. And a couple ideas here, right? You want to get the information on your homepage. So whether you are an e-commerce shop or if you are just a landscaper, as we said in the past, or a home appliance repair company, you need to get your reviews, get images and the actual reviews from your customers, put them on your website. It really does help. It gives it a personal feel. You need to try that out. If you have service pages or category pages or product pages, reviews are going to be huge there as well. Going back to that beauty salon, if you have a website and you're highlighting your highlights, right? And then you're also talking about the esthetician that's in your office, you need to make sure that you have specific reviews on each services page for those different services. And then the last one is on the checkout page. Brandon, you kind of mentioned it, getting those trust badges up there, but if you can get reviews about your brand and the trustworthiness of your brand on that checkout page, if you're an e-commerce site, or if you have a lead form, if you're a service-based company and you're asking people to submit information for a bid or something to that extent, having a review right there on that page is going to help that conversion rate, right? And what we mean by that is ultimately getting someone to fill out the form and click that submit button, or finish the purchase at checkout, right? So Brandon, love to hear your mindset. And I don't know if you have a couple other brands as well that are utilizing UGC very well.
Actually, one brand does come to mind, Beta brand. They're another apparel company. They do an incredible job of integrating their customer base. So when they're looking at actually creating new shirts or new jacket or new pants or things like that, they will almost crowdfund, I guess you could even say, or crowdsource on their own site. They put the information up on their site and on their Instagram and things like that, and they have their users vote on it. And as they vote for that, then once they decide, yep, this looks like it'll be a good product, they reach out to those people that voted, and they give them first right of refusal to buy the first make of it. So you can get first edition shirt, first edition pants, jacket, something like that. You get it at a steep discount to what everyone else is going to pay for it. You get a little like first edition logo or something like that. And then afterwards, as a part of that, they request that you take a picture of yourself or a selfie or a video of you unboxing it. You hashtag it with their name or that product name or something like that. And that's just kind of a part of how this community builds. I love it. It's great. And there's another company that does this, and the name escapes me right now, but they have a lifetime warranty on their socks. So if you lose a sock, you take a selfie with the other sock looking as sad as humanly possible. You hashtag it with whatever their hashtag is, and they will send you a new pair of socks. It's great. It's funny. People see it. It's great brand awareness. It's awesome for customer retention. Could it be abused? Sure. Somebody could just take a picture with a sock and say, I lost my other one, and you send them one. Well, you know what? That person already bought a pair of socks from you. They're probably going to buy more. So maybe that's just a little bit of an investment to keeping them as a customer. You just kind of assume people are good until they prove otherwise. So you just treat them like adults, and give them the opportunity to be involved with your business. And user-generated content is the way to do that, whether it's YouTube, Instagram, Pinterest, any of these other social channels. If you allow people to involve themselves, they become your brand ambassadors. They say good things about you. They defend you when someone decides to get snarky. That wasn't my experience. Don't know how don't know why you would think that. And, they will help to be your best salespeople. And this isn't just e-commerce. This can be for service. This can be for B2B. This can be nonprofits. Across the board, if you allow people to get involved in your brand, then you're going to develop brand ambassadors for life. Of course.
So let's get to that next slide. So you want to then utilize all of these brand ambassadors, right? All of this great user-generated content to create some of these paid advertisements. A great idea here. This is from Blenders Eyewear. Again, Yapo, thank you very much for this information. They did a social ad campaign and utilizing real customer information, the reviews within the different products, they saw 38% decrease in cost per acquisition, which is huge, 2 times higher click-through rate, and 62% increase in return on ad spend, right? So they did the A/B comparison of this ad versus another, kind of as I suggested in the past, and they ran an ad, and it killed it. The only caveat that I would say, or the only addition, is I would maybe do an A/B/C test campaign where you do utilize the same review, but try and add real customer photos in the ads. So Brandon, I'd love to get your opinion on this.
Or video. Or video in the ads. Yeah,
absolutely.
So many opportunities here. And one kind of piece of advice across from this, if you're running ads on Facebook, and let's be honest, with 2 billion active users, you probably should be running ads on Facebook, regardless of whether you're e-commerce or service or anything like that. You have to make sure that your page, your actual Facebook page, also has great reviews on it. Just putting reviews in your ads is not going to suffice, because they'll click through on your site, and then they're also going to be checking through on your Facebook page. The other side of this is the actual content that you are generating on your Facebook page. Just because you've got one, maybe you've got a couple of reviews, you're running some ads, awesome. But if people go there and it's a ghost town, that's a real problem. They want to see the interaction. They want to see that you're a thought leader. They want to see the quality of your product, or the aspects of your service. So yes, you absolutely should be using user-generated content in your ad sets across the board, but ensure that your ad sets are reflective of the actual profile that you're posting on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Even on your website, you got to make sure you've got a blog with content, and you're fleshing out content and developing thought leadership there. Ideas, Pinterest, you've got Pinterest boards, dream boards, how you use the product or the service. All of this ties in together. So you should definitely be using reviews everywhere, but make sure that you're also catering to the actual profile that you're on. It makes all the difference in the world.
One of your employees. Fix problems before they become bigger problems. So listen to your voice. Make sure if you're creating those ad through Facebook, as you were suggesting, or doing an Instagram campaign, that your reviews and the ad that you're running caters to what people are saying about you, and it hits that ideal demographic as well. I think is going to be important. But yeah, I think we talked about it in the past. But I think, Brandon, listening to what your consumers are saying and being proactive about it is definitely going to help that review in the future and get that brand identity on the right track.
Now, keep in mind, listening to the customer doesn't always mean doing exactly everything that they want. I think it was Henry Ford said, if I listened to what the customer wanted, they would have asked for faster horses. You can't always do business the way that your customer believes you should do business. Now, sometimes the customer believes that they deserve everything for free. And while I appreciate that mindset, that's not how I do business. That's not how a company A does business. That may not be the best customer for you. Now, you still want to make sure that every customer has as good of an experience as they possibly can, right? Mm-hmm. But there are limitations to that. What you don't want to do is try to become all things to all people by overly listening. Sometimes you have to say, we're actually not going to offer that service because it doesn't make sense. At Marketing 360, we don't really offer link building services as a part of our SEO campaigns because they don't make sense. It should happen naturally and organically, and with a good strategy behind your content, you will organically earn more links. There are other companies that will still monetize this, and as a company, we have not found that that's valuable. That's not valuable to us. It's not valuable to the customer. It's not a service we're going to offer. That's something that you can draw the line in the sand. If there is something that a customer wants from you, but it's not something that you believe that you should, in good conscience, offer or could provide at a great experience, don't offer it. But you can also use this to adapt and to grow your business and to offer new services and new products. Apple was a great example of this, especially coming out with the iPhone back in 2007. Same thing. No one really thought that was something that they needed or that they wanted, but there they come. Steve Jobs with the iPhone, and it's just absolutely changed the world as it pertains to smartphone and handheld technology. So it's a great way to innovate by listening to your customer and adapting to their needs. I just want to talk, mention or rehash what I said earlier. The cost of doing nothing is greater than the risk of trying something. So in all of this, in all of the webinars that we do, and I hope you've gone back through and watched some of them, watched all of them, and we'd love to gather that feedback from our viewers as well, so that we can generate more content for you and answer some questions and learn more about what are different ways that we can help serve you through these webinars. Just try something. Just try it once. And that momentum is going to get you where you need to go. You can learn the optimization. You can figure out how to analyze. You can learn the data points that you need to. You can work with us at Marketing 360, and we can help you with this. We do this for thousands of clients, and that's why we're sharing it with you here, our experiences for this webinar. So just trying something. Progress is better than perfect. So just taking that first step is the very first thing that you need to do. And I hope that that's your main takeaway from these webinars.
Going to drop it down from 2:30 Mountain Standard Time, and we're going to go to 1:30 Mountain Standard Time from now on out. So Wednesday is still going to stay the same, but we're going to be starting these at 1:30 Mountain Standard Time. If you are East Coast, that is 3:30 Eastern Standard Time. But if you have any questions, if you did watch this entire webinar, thank you so much for it. Please leave a comment, hit that thumbs up, that like button. Let us know what we can do better. If there's any topics that we can talk about in the future, we just want to help you. So please send that out, as well as connect with us on LinkedIn. Brandon, I know you are on LinkedIn all the time. I'm on LinkedIn as well. So Seth Burney here, hit me up on LinkedIn. I'd love to answer your questions. If I'm in a town near you at a conference, I'd love to meet you face-to-face as well, but connect with Brandon as well. So thank you very much, guys. Brandon, if you don't have anything, I'm going to sign off, and thank you very much for joining us for Webinar Wednesday.